today I want to talk to you about things that you need to consider when pricing your artwork. Hi, I'm Lisa, the artist behind Lachri Fine Art. Years ago, one of my friends who is very involved with business and marketing, that's actually what he does for a living, helped me come up with my base prices. I was just like everybody, like every artist ever, I think, was struggling with figuring out what I needed my prices to be. And as he was coming up with prices, I kept arguing with him saying, no, that's too high. No one's gonna pay that. That is too high. And then he asked me something very, very important, which definitely stuck with me over the years and we all need to consider. Figure out how much money do you need to make a month in order to pay your bills. Go through all of your bills, how much for your house payment or your rent or whatever it is that you want to live. Figure all of your bills out. All of them, electric, phone bill, everything, food, any extra spending money, money to buy more art supplies. Figure out what that number is. Unfortunately, it tends to be a little depressing because it's a bit higher than we sometimes realize. Figure out what that number is. Then figure out how many pieces of art you can create a month. Then you just have to do the math to figure out how much each of those pieces would need to sell for in order for you to pay your bills. Probably it's going to be a lot higher than what you're thinking or expecting it to be. I know it really was for me. Honestly, I fought this for a while because those numbers seem too high. And I was thinking, there's no way I'm going to make enough to be able to live off of this. Those numbers are just a lot higher than I thought they were going to be. I was looking at those numbers going, I wouldn't pay that much for a painting. There's no way anyone else is going to. Of course, at the time I could hardly pay my phone bill, so there was that. But selling my paintings at the price I currently was about a quarter of what I needed them to be in order to be able to actually support myself as an artist. Now, luckily I'm married, so we had the joint income, and I was also teaching, so I had that income as well. But you've really got to think, if your goal is to make a living off your paintings or even teaching, and if that is your goal, you have got to really figure out those prices based on what you need to live off of. Now, selling your artwork is far more than just choosing some magic number that everybody's going to jump on board with. I don't want you to feel like if you have the right number, that's what's going to get you the sales. There's a lot more to it than that. If you want to make a living with your artwork, you have got to figure out how to get your artwork in front of the right buyers. And you have to be asking for a price that's fair to you. Even if you sell a new painting every single week, every one you produce sells for $200. If you're only producing one a week, chances are you're not going to be able to live off $800 a month. It's just the reality. I see so many artists who are trying to make a living selling art and struggling wildly with it. And the thing is, even if they manage to sell every single piece they created, it's not going to be enough. And I think there are two major factors to consider here. One, the artist may just not be ready skill level wise to be selling their artwork for what it calls for. I've seen a lot of artists who have only been artists for 3 or 4 years and they expect to make thousands of dollars off paintings where their skill level is not matching that price. When I was 19 and first started painting, there was no way I was going to make enough to support myself off my art itself. I would sell my paintings for $100 or $200 because that's really all they were worth. I was new. My technique was not that advanced. They were pretty paintings, people liked them, but realistically, they weren't going to sell for more than $100 or $200. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't sell your work for that price. The thing was, that's what mine earned at the time. So I had to keep my day job to pay my other bills, and then that $100 or $200 off a painting could go towards buying more art supplies, put it back into my business. You don't want to just quit your job when you're starting out because you're probably not going to be ready yet. Give yourself several years. I remember when I first started painting at one of the art guilds that I was in, they had said, somebody somewhere said something along the lines of, most artists don't become really successful until they're around 40. It takes years to build that following, and that was definitely true for me. Now, I do think that has changed a lot because of the internet, because of YouTube, because of how many people you can reach. You can do that a lot sooner. I don't want to discourage anyone to where you're thinking, wow, I've got 20 years before I can make a living with this. No, you can do it faster now, but it takes longer than what you're probably thinking, because not only do you have to improve your skills, you have to build that following, and that just takes time. So if you are at a place where $100 to $200 is all you're making on your artwork, don't feel discouraged. Just know that that can't be your end goal. It's fine for now, but that cannot be your end goal. The next problem that I see quite often are artists who are more experienced, who have been doing this for 10, 20 years, and they feel their art isn't worth more than $100 or $200 or whatever it is they're charging. Or they'll think, if I raise my price, no one will buy it. But going back to what I was saying, you're not going to pay your bills on $100 or $200 a week. That is not going to be enough for most people. You have to remember that you are not your target audience. You're not your target market. I think we have a tendency to think of selling our artwork to other people that are like us, that are in the same financial place that we are. That's probably not the case. Art is a luxury item. Many of us are doing the whole starving artist thing, so we can't really understand what that would be like to have expendable income just to drop $2,000 on a painting. We are not our target market. Our target market are people who have the expendable income. To the people who $1,000 or $2,000 isn't going to make it so they can't pay their house payment that month. I've heard artists say that they want their artwork to be able to be affordable to anybody. For me, I think that's what prints are for. Not everybody is going to be able to afford an original. It's a luxury item. Don't feel guilty about charging what your artwork needs to go for in order for you to be able to make a living. If you really want to offer originals that anyone can afford, you could do little, 5x5s, 5x7 or smaller, stuff that you can get done in maybe 20 minutes, little studies and such. You can do those on canvas board and sell those for very little. That sometimes is a way to go, like if you need a lot of things to sell at art shows and fairs and such. Don't spend a week on something that you're only getting $100 or $200 for. If your goal is to sell bigger paintings that take you longer, like a week or more to complete, and you're going to sell them for thousands of dollars, having paintings available that anybody could buy for any budget will sometimes limit you so that you're not selling to those high-end buyers. A lot of the high-end buyers want things that only high-end buyers can afford. They don't want something that somebody on the lower end of the financial spectrum can afford. And that sounds super snooty, but it's the reality. Before you jump to judge them for this, remember, art is a luxury item. For a lot of people, when they drop $10,000 or $5,000 on something, it's a status thing. I think the first step you need to do is just figure out how much you need to make a month and figure out how much artwork you're producing a month. Figuring out those numbers, knowing how much you need to make can be a much easier way to set your fees. Even if you're not at a skill level where you think you can demand that much for your artwork, it gives you a sort of roadmap on what steps you need to take in order to get to that point. Here's my end goal, so now I need to figure out how to get there. But if you don't have that vision, that end goal in mind, you're probably not going to get to that point very quickly. You may land there, but it's not as likely as if you have that end goal, you have those numbers set, you have those goals set. And before everyone runs out and thinks, okay, I'm just gonna start charging $2,000 per painting, make sure you check out my other video on pricing art, because you don't want to be fluctuating. You don't want to start charging $2,000 and realize no one's going to buy it, because that will really hurt you too. You want to slowly build up, and I talk about that more in that video, so definitely check that out. Thanks for watching. If you're new to my channel, I have new video critiques every Tuesday where I'm critiquing your original paintings or drawings, my own speed paintings, drawings, and tutorials every Wednesday, art Q&A videos every Thursday, and artist vlogs each weekend. So if you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+. All of those social media sites are linked below in the video description, where you can keep up with news, my newest work, and be notified of when my live streams are coming.